Welcome to this edition of Hindsight is Horrifying, the show where three mostly normal and somewhat cynical adults discuss life as members of the TV generation. Now here are your hosts, Darth Jada, Jason Mitchell, and Adam B.
Hello, and we are back.
Hi.
Yes, we are back with a new soundboard, new microphones, new cables, but the same old hosts. Sorry.
Getting older every moment.
Talk about a lateral
I've heard.
move.
Yeah, Amazon won't ship those, so you're stuck with us.
You got to poke air holes in the box. That's the problem.
Oh yeah, that would explain why those other ones died. I just mailed them back to Korea.
There you go.
Anyway, we are back with another summer of the 1970s.
Groovy, baby.
Yes. We started off last week with Race with the Devil.
Oh, yes.
And what do we have this week?
What? How does a devil sound when he speaks? I'm just curious.
You mean like this?
Yes, I do. The new soundboard.
Yeah, the new soundboard's got tricks, so we're going to do that a lot.
Soundboard is haunted.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
God. You gotta say, oh, yeah.
We're not going to get any... Bow. You already knew where I was going with that.
Okay, all right.
We're not going to get anything done tonight.
Mr. Brown, why don't you tell us what movie you selected for us this week?
Well, 1976 was not only the bicentennial, but also a year of a wonderful film created by a man named John Carpenter, who you may know as the creator of Halloween. So if you take Halloween and the Rookies TV series and they had a baby, you had Assault on Precinct 13.
Yes, excellent movie. Just really a wonderful movie. Although, completely devoid of any Precinct 13.
Yes.
I have fun facts about that in my articles.
There is no Precinct 13 in this entire movie.
No.
But what we do have is a fantastic cast of people who really just sort of faded into the background a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I didn't really see any standout faces, even though the guy who plays Napoleon Wilson, he appeared in multiple John Carpenter films, but nobody jumped out to me from this cast. So
yeah, it's very interesting because I know some of the actors really, they were in a couple of movies. The actress who plays Lee, I think she was in 2 or 3 other movies. The actress who plays the secretary, I think was just
Julie.
Julie. She was in like maybe 2 movies, I think. So, and they all did great jobs.
Oh, they did.
Not a bad actor in the whole movie.
It was a nice ensemble. I think the one police officer who escorted them on the bus has been in many films, but he got shot very quickly at the beginning.
Was that the one where they were like, that guy fell down?
Yeah.
Or was that somebody else?
not him.
Okay.
I'll point him out.
Because I wrote that down.
when
I
we
was
see
just
it.
like, he violently falls to the ground when he gets shot by the gang, and Julie's just like, so-and-so fell.
Yeah, it's a movie. John Carpenter basically was he was given a low budget, but he was so he really wanted to maximize his dollar value, and he wanted to give himself a lot of leeway in the editing, and so it's really interesting if you watch the movie, not in the beginning, but after maybe the first 3 or 4 scenes, the scenes are really long, and there's a lot of dialogue, and somehow that's usually a bad recipe,
Well, especially when the scenes don't necessarily add up or make sense to the overall plot or synopsis. So before we get too far into it, like you said, assault on Precinct 13, the station house is actually referred to as Precinct 9, Division 13, apparently, yet the sign above the door reads Division 14.
Yeah,
it's completely nonsensical.
Yeah, totally.
But the synopsis, hindsiders, for those of you who haven't seen this movie.
Sorry, I'm going to let the viewers watch.
The Cholos are actually performing a ritual, So when the gang members draw their own blood into a bowl, they're performing a Cholo ritual, a vow to destroy their enemies in full force, even at the cost of their own lives.
I mean,
it's very dramatic.
I got to tell you, if it were up to me, no, I'm walking out of the gang at that point. I'll commit murder, crimes, move drugs, things like that. But
I'm not getting bodily fluids mixed up in the equation.
Not happening. Sorry. So
sorry, I'm saving my blood and spit for my wedding night.
Just checking it.
And on that note, so the synopsis for this film, because even my dad surprised me by not having seen this movie, and he loves movies, but so when the LAPD kills several members of the South Central gang, Street Thunder, the remaining members avenge themselves by way of a bloody war waged against cops and citizens alike. Caught in the crossfire is Lieutenant Ethan Bishop, Austin Stoker.
Who's awesome.
Oh, he's a badass.
Yeah.
Who's managing a skeleton crew at the local and soon-to-be closed police precinct. As the gang...
Skeleton crew? Oh, you mean just like a few people?
Yeah, not actual skeletons. I don't know nothing about no skeletons. But as the gang members close in, Bishop forms an unlikely alliance with a group of prisoners in order to defend the station and the lives of everyone in it. But the thing is, the assault is not on Precinct 13 because of the cops killing the gang members.
This woman here in the car next to it is wondering what's going on. You'll see she'll pull up a few times because clearly there's a cameraman on him. And there's multiple times this woman pulls up and you see her looking over. And I thought it was a part of the plot, but it isn't.
No, it's not.
It's clearly a woman who just...
a woman's like, what? There's a cop and with a guy with a camera, and it happens 3 times. Yeah. And here she she's right behind. She's behind this red car. Let's see if she pulls up again. It's very, very funny.
Well, living in California, that's got to be something that you.
Here she is. The dude. It's a dude, I guess. Yeah.
What's going on over there?
But that's the 3rd time, and I thought, he must be one of the cholos. No, just an innocent bystander.
And this is the first time I've ever seen a cholo without a single neck tattoo.
Well, that was pre-neck tattoos.
Yeah.
That was back.
Oh, is that came in waves with the decades?
It was in the 80s.
This is back when gang members were classier.
Yeah,
they were. There was a higher.
They were just into mixing their blood in a bowl. They weren't into marring their skin with tattoos.
They were called Street Thunder. I mean, come on, Which, by the way, if I ever have a taco truck, that's what it's going to be named. Street Thunder Tacos.
I was like, if I eat too many beans and I'm walking my dog at night out on the street, we have a lot of street thunder.
Oh, God.
So
now this fella right here, I've seen him in quite a few films.
Yeah, he was on TV a lot too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He looks like he could be related to Marky Mark, actually.
He's his papa.
That's what Marky Mark would have looked like in
the 70s,
in 1976. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, you look at it's funny.
Then you have Rodney Dangerfield, who he reports to at his precinct.
Get this guy to death row. No respect. No respect
at all.
No, it is very interesting whenever you watch movies like this and you realize, okay, this is not a period movie. It's just a movie that was filmed in the 1970s. So, when you see somebody who has an unusual haircut or something like that, that's just how it was.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love these little glimpses into the past. And
these slice of life sort of films.
Yeah.
A day in the life of these particular group of people.
Yeah. You see what people wore. You see what people, the cars they drove, stuff like that. Now, the movie, it's very interesting because it does sort of leave you wondering what direction it's going in. Because I remember watching this and thinking, okay, you've got cops who are going to be taking bad people on a bus, and they're taking them to a prison.
Yeah, prison transpo.
So I remember thinking, okay, the bad guys are going to break them out, or there's going to be an escape plot.
Right.
That's what this is going to be. It's going to be like, and then somehow that ends up at the precinct, and I don't know.
That like one of their prisoners ends up being sick, and they have to drop him off to call for aid at the closest precinct, which is Precinct 13.
Yeah, and that was not a ruse.
No, it like the gang members and the prisoners have absolutely nothing to do with each other, and that's what I was about to bring up a second ago. Because so the synopsis straight out says that the gang members are taking vengeance for their fallen comrades against the officers who murdered them or shot them, in the line of duty. And that has nothing to do with it either.
No.
The only reason the gang ends up at Precinct 13 is because there's this other story happening completely separately from the prisoners, the gang, the police officers.
Yeah.
It's a dad with a young daughter. You assume she's like single digits,
see her coming up in a bit.
Yeah, she's coming up in a sec. But she's they're clearly trying to get a female relative of theirs to move out of the ghetto and move in wherever they live.
It was the nanny, wasn't it?
Margaret is her name.
Isn't that what they said? Like the nanny or the?
I think he called her Nana, not Nanny.
I thought it was either a grandmother.
It was
or
a
an
grandmother
aunt.
type,
Right.
and she lives in a rough neighborhood. So you guess that the dad is the grandmother's son, and he's telling. But it's weird because he's looking at his daughter, and he's like, "I want you to look at Margaret and say, Margaret, I want you to move in with us, or I'm going to run away from home." And it's like, who calls their grandmother by their first name? But all that's irrelevant because meanwhile, there's this random ice cream truck driving up and down the street near where the father and daughter are parked because the dad is getting lost trying to find the grandmother's house. And the ice cream truck man keeps noticing the car full of thugs driving up and down, and he's got a gun underneath his dash that he's sort of reaching for just in case there's a problem. And I don't understand what happens next because the gang, they go up and down the street a couple of times and then they stop at the ice cream truck and murder the ice cream man in cold blood for no reason.
I will tell you my interpretation of that, and I don't have a clue if this is correct. But I thought that they were going up and down the street looking for potential murder victims. Because you see him, he aims at two people, but he doesn't shoot. I don't know why, but he doesn't shoot. It's like I'm looking for the right murder victim. Almost like trying to bait the police into a fight.
I think you might be giving...
Because the Cholo, the ritual is like, we're not going to back down. We're going to do whatever we're going to do till death. But what exactly are you trying to do?
They didn't wage a war on purpose. That was a byproduct of what happens next. So they murder the ice cream man, and unfortunately, the little girl is asking for an ice cream cone, and she also gets murdered. Yeah, she gets shot in the chest with tempera paint.
That's right. That'll teach you.
Yeah.
Take the vanilla and go.
Yeah, I wanted a vanilla swirl.
No chocolate.
No chocolate.
You leave the chocolate.
Swirl it.
And that girl, by the way, familiar to me.
Escape from Witch Mountain.
Witch Mountain.
Yeah. She was
Tia. Okay.
Tia from Witch Mountain.
That's one of the few people I actually recognized. I couldn't tell you from where, but thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, I need to see. This was before Witch Mountain.
Oh yeah.
No, I think it was just after.
It was just after.
It was just after. Yeah.
Seems like
she
it would
goes
be
from
way
a Disney
before.
movie to a John Carpenter movie.
Yeah.
There you go.
She's spreading her wings.
But so she gets murdered in the street in cold blood by the gang members, and her dad avenges her and avenges her by murdering the guy who murdered his kid.
He does, absolutely. I mean, the dad does get the drop on the dude and kills him.
Yeah, because the ice cream man is still alive. He's like, there's a gun in my truck. And so the dad takes the ice cream man's truck and kills his daughter's murderer.
Gun
and then
in
immediately
the truck.
seeks shelter at Precinct 13.
Yeah.
So that's the only way these tie together.
And how badass was that ice cream, the ice cream man? Because in your dying breath, you're like, dude, there's a gun. Go kill the son of a bitch.
Yeah, because a little girl just got murdered.
Yeah, not call 911. Well, invent 911 and then call it. Because back then it was like, dial the operator and then,
Send the police.
Yeah.
They can't find an active gunfight because they keep moving the bodies out of the street. But, call the police.
Hey, it's in a bad part of town,
So
I'm just thinking that sometimes gang members just go up and down the street to look for someone to kill.
Just drive-bys.
It's probably a random act of terror.
Yeah.
We clearly know a lot about gangs.
Yes. We were all gang members at one time. We kind of cleaned up our act, thankfully.
Yes. And I was in Sidewalk Thunder.
Oh, Sidewalk Thunder.
I was in Cul-de-sac
very,
Thunder.
very similar, but different thing.
It involved bicycles and 2x4 ramps.
Yeah.
Then
It
there's
was
the Thunder
super
Down
hardcore.
Under.
Thunder Down Under,
Yeah, that
yeah.
was
Oh,
that was a
Lord.
very
Yeah.
group of stinkers.
And I will say it's a very diverse diverse gang.
That's what they said. The news even said.
I love that, and they're even
Their
credited.
ESG score is through the roof.
Because in the credits, it's hilarious. It's so 70s because you have the Chicano tough, the oriental tough, the Chicano hood, the black hood, and gang members. So here's my question. Here's my pressing question. What's the difference between a tough and a hood?
I don't know. I
Well,
don't.
when you're David Bowie in a film, clearly this guy is.
Yeah.
He wants thug rating. He's just not going to be a tough.
Lou Diamond Phillips is a shitty
Che
driver.
Guevara.
Oh, that's Shay.
Che Guevara driving.
Okay, I was going with Lou Diamond, but yours is better.
You have a man turning into a werewolf in the backseat,
No, it's Zach Galifianakis.
He's mid transition into a werewolf.
and then you have the guy from the Police Academy movies,
Yes, the sound effect.
Michael
Michael
Winslow.
Winslow. Thank you.
But he can't make sound effects because he's got that toothpick in his mouth. But
Beautiful Precinct 14, District 14,
District 9. No,
whatever.
I don't know.
No, you have to imagine the two Hispanics talk. I'm sorry, Chicano.
Yeah, Chicano.
Which I don't know what
okay?
that word means. I know I've heard it in 70s movies.
Let's get the actual textbook definition.
Because
going.
they say it in Dirty Harry, which, by the way, if you watch this movie, we don't have audio going for YouTube reasons.
Someone who is native of or descends from Mexico and who lives in the United States.
Oh.
Okay, like a
Chicano.
Nisei for Japanese people.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Well, Nisei is American-born. Wait, are they born in America? Of Japan? I don't
Spell
remember.
it.
Anyway,
I'll find out.
Nesai or Nesei, something like that. But you have to imagine the two of them going "Are you the tough or are you the hood?" I thought I was the hood.
What's
neither
the difference?
Neither one of us have hoods, but I feel like I'd rather be a tough than a hood. I don't know. Which one's more butch?
We got our name in the credits.
Yeah,
This is the
exactly.
beginning of our illustrious career.
Yes, there's no Jeff Goldblum in this movie.
Bite me.
No, I'm just saying there's no Jeff Goldblum. But there is Apollo Creed's trainer.
Yes, yes,
from
I
the Rocky
saw that.
movies.
Oh my God.
And by the way, when I watched the remake of this, Apollo Creed's trainer was in the remake.
Really?
Yeah, they gave him a little cameo, even though
Swell.
he clearly didn't make it to the end of
Yeah,
this
because
film.
Napoleon, the actor who plays Napoleon, he died in the 90s.
What was his name?
No, he works as a driver now. He works in production.
Wait, he either died in the 90s or he's driving people around. What's the deal?
Because I know Bishop died. Bishop made it to 92. The guy who plays Bishop, the lieutenant, he died last year, I think.
Made it to age 92, not 19.
Made it to age
Okay.
92. Yeah,
There you go.
You're right,
Yeah.
Napoleon. I can't remember.
I thought Napoleon had died.
Maybe he has. Maybe he has, but this was the pinnacle of Napoleon's career,
Yeah,
and he is known as a cult figure, as is Laurie. Her
Yeah.
name was it
I'll have to
Laurie
look it up
Zimmer?
on IMDb.
Yeah,
I
from,
didn't print it this time.
Well, and it's interesting too because I wonder if there's a reference to this movie in the Twin Peaks reboot, because I think it was Bishop. He was in a David Lynch. He was in, I think, Eraserhead.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in Eraserhead.
Yes.
And in the whole movie, he's constantly asking people, "You got to smoke?" And there's a character in the Twin Peaks revival from a couple of years ago that's always going to get a light. And it's like, is that kind of sounds like it might be a reference.
He's Bishop, I think.
That's Bishop.
yeah.
Yeah. Bishop
Okay.
is the lieutenant.
Yeah, Ethan Bishop.
Ethan
so
Bishop,
Austin
yeah.
Stoker. And then Darwin Jostin is Napoleon Wilson. Laurie Zimmer is
Laurie Zimmer.
Lee.
Yeah.
Lee. Oh,
So look up Napoleon. When
Yeah.
did
when did he die?
is he still alive or
Darwin
is
Jostin.
he
let's
Darwin
see.
Johnson? And I love the fact that Napoleon, they make a point out of, he tells the cop in the beginning, he tells the cop who's escorting him,
He died in 98.
98.
Okay.
There you go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
so who were you looking at that's doing driving?
No, after this film, he began to do less acting and more production work. He was like
Gotcha.
a union driver, and he did that until his death, I guess. I think he died of cancer.
She is hot too.
Well, I'll tell you, I saw this movie on HBO in the late 70s.
Ooh.
When you guys were sparkles in your parents' eyes, and I had such a crush on her.
Oh, she's hot. Yeah.
And
She's very 70s
She's so
hot.
tough.
Yeah, she's
And
cool.
she's deliberate in everything she does. She's absolutely beautiful.
Well,
and there's a movie that someone actually made a movie about where is Lori Zimmer.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Because she left acting and just became a teacher.
Let's see.
Huh.
And someone, I guess, was so interested in her life that they made a movie about it. I'd love to see that movie.
Either her or the other one is a sculptor now.
Ah, okay.
God, how many things are you going to make me look up tonight? I'll put it in the show notes.
Well, that's we could just ask our robot to do it.
American former actress, best known for her role as Lee, the courageous secretary of the besieged police station.
Who can handle the 357 Magnum,
oh,
too.
Yeah. And take a bullet.
And take a bullet and not even flinch.
Just tie it off. Tie off the wound.
She's 74 now.
Oh. No, it happens to us all.
You always
She lives
wish
near
you could.
San Francisco and has become a teacher and has 2 sons. So she's living a normal
So I
person's
guess the
life.
other one's a sculptor now.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not looking it up.
No, but the movie, Adam, earlier, you sort of described it as a slow burn, and it is. And
Well, it's typical 70s in the sense that there's character development for a vast majority of the characters, minus the street gang. All you see them do is like that cholo ritual, but other than that,
they're zombies.
Yeah,
They're pretty much explicitly.
I've got a fact about that somewhere.
They're
Hang on.
zombies. It's Night of the Living Dead. Only instead of zombies, it's street toughs. And what's interesting too is that they're not like all on drugs, or at least it's not. They don't make a point. Carpenter doesn't like have them, shooting up with PCP or angel dust.
They're just completely dehumanized. They hardly talk and almost seem supernatural in their ongoing resilience because it's true. They just keep coming at the precinct and there's more and more of them. They're like ants.
I know.
Because there's 4 in the beginning when you see them all rounded up and driving around in the car and murdering the ice cream man and the little girl. But then there's like a horde of them just coming toward the police station, and there's like 50 of them toward the end, like hoarding down the hallway.
Now you just put a Facebook post.
Yeah.
Everyone,
they're
cholos,
great organizers.
Cholos come.
Cholos wanted.
So clearly they had a phone tree.
Oh yeah. Well, they had the things with
Which
the
is
piece
a
of
very
paper
old
you tear
sentence.
off with the phone numbers on it.
Oh my God.
Cholos 2B1 ask one. No Street Thunder.
But if you think about how difficult it was to communicate back then, you had to go to a phone booth.
Yeah.
And once the phones were out, you were isolated.
You're isolated, totally isolated.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing you can do. And
the police are utterly incompetent. They're not getting
great.
multiple reports of gunfire or firecrackers. Nobody's sure which, but literally no one in the world can determine what direction this gunfire is coming from. Not the neighbors who are citizens, not the police.
There are some, I don't want to call them plot holes, but there are some conveniences. And I think one of the conveniences is that the police officers who are cruising around, you would kind of think that they would swing by the precinct and go, "Hey, did you guys hear anything?"
Oh, yeah. David Bowie's about to murder a random woman carrying her groceries home.
Yeah, he doesn't, though. He doesn't.
Because he's thinking he pulls it. Nope, not her. Not her.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to get an ice cream. I want ice cream. No, I don't want any.
I missed this somehow. Maybe it was because it was on Roku and there were ads and I'm not sure. But either way, I missed this whole them scoping out the street trying to determine who to kill. But there's no rhyme or reason as to why they murder the ice cream man.
There's no dialogue. There's nothing to establish why this is the target because you don't know what their goal is.
No.
And then their goals.
Because on the radio, one of the police captains or chiefs or something is saying, "Oh, these dangerous people are out there. They've got guns. And if they ever get organized, everybody's screwed." So that was his justification for the shootings of the 6 gang members in the beginning of the movie. But once again, the gang isn't out to avenge their fallen comrades. They're just chasing the guy who murdered one of their people.
Yeah, it's very... and it all crystallizes eventually with when the little girl is killed and then the father takes revenge.
Yeah.
But before then, it is sort of up in the air, and that's okay because you're just kind of really paying attention to the other story
Yeah, because the threat of it, like, especially with the illusion of, you know, if these people on the streets with guns get organized, that's like the big threat in the beginning. But there's never some massive organized like heist or goal that the gang has in mind.
No, there isn't.
It's like, it's kind of random and pointless.
No, it's supposed to be, you know, very much inspired by Rio Bravo, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I had never heard that before. And I before I watched it today, I saw that and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I'm going to watch it and sort of like pick up the similarities between Rio Bravo and this. And
was that the John Wayne reference you made?
Yeah. Because John Carpenter edited the movie and he did it under the name John T. Chance.
Nice.
Which was John Wayne's character from Rio Bravo.
I love it. I love those callbacks.
But it's interesting because it's really not a lot like it. I mean, there's similarities. Rio Bravo, basically, you have a bad guy commits a murder. John Wayne arrests him, and the bad guy's gang says, you're going to let him go, or we're going to go in there and get him and kill you in the process. And John Wayne's got to defend this little police station, little police office, whatever, with a drunk Dean Martin, Gabby Hayes, and Ricky Nelson.
I was as drunk as the next guy.
Yeah,
unfortunately, the next guy was Dean Martin.
Yeah, and then and Angie Dickinson's there too.
Policewoman. He was lucky to have her.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say.
And Rio Bravo is basically it's the anti-High Noon. It was Howard Hawks made it because he watched High Noon and he didn't like the fact that the star Gary Cooper's going around asking everybody for help.
Right.
And so in Rio Bravo, people offer to help, and John Wayne's constantly telling them, "No, you're just going to get yourself killed. I'll do it myself." I don't really see the,
reason the Rio Bravo comes into play is that following the release of his first feature, Dark Star from '74, John Carpenter was approached by a group of investors who gave him carte blanche to make whatever kind of picture he wanted, albeit with a very limited budget. So Carpenter wanted to make a Western, but he knew he wouldn't be able to pull it off with the amount of money that was allotted to him.
Piece.
Yeah, but he was trying to do as many allusions to Rio Bravo as possible because it was directed by his hero, Howard Hawks. So that's where a lot of those allusions come. And there are a lot of little references. So, for instance, when Bishop is telling that story about how his daddy sent him into a police station for using foul language in front of his mother, that's a real story. So, except it's about Alfred Hitchcock from his childhood. Hitchcock detailed the story to Francis Truffaut in Truffaut's book, Hitchcock. So apparently that exact scenario happened to Alfred.
I mean, it's a good idea. Actually, when I read, as I hear that, I'm thinking, my kid's probably too old. He'd know I was faking.
Yeah, right. Yeah, David's a pretty
you got to hit him when they're
cookie,
like 6 years old,
I think he said that. He was like, when I was just a little boy, my dad sent me into the police station.
There's that golden age when you can pull shit like that on your kids. Like I remember accidentally freaking David out because I made a joke and he's going to kill me when he...
The Kmart joke or Costco joke.
When I said, we still have the receipt, we can take him back to Costco. And he was probably like 5 or 6 years old. And I remember looking over and all of a sudden I see him and he has tears.
There were little tears.
You are such a bad dad.
I felt terrible. The only way I could have felt worse is if I had taken my little girl to a terrible neighborhood and then let her go off to an ice. First of all, okay.
It's an ice cream truck. Like it's supposed to attract children. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, right. It is not a nice place.
No, it's not. And
no, but before you leave your Costco joke, it reminds me of a Calvin and Hobbes strip, actually, because Calvin's asking his dad where babies come from. And he goes, they come from Kmart, which is why I said Kmart, because it makes me think of Calvin and Hobbes. And he was like, wait, I came from Kmart? And he goes, yeah, you were actually a blue light special. It's a great strip. But yeah, so we're at the ice cream truck in the hood. And
just a handful of change.
Yeah.
Bought an ice cream cone back then. That's always a good throwback.
Did they used to serve actual ice cream at ice cream trucks? Because these days it's all of those prepackaged like Spider-Man ice creams. And
when I was a kid, they were prepackaged also.
Okay, because she got like a legit
Curly Whirlies.
swirly cone. So I don't know. I don't know if ice cream trucks originally just had like actual valve.
Throw them, you bastards.
Where have you been? We're fucking knackered. Get the zooms out. Throw the pots and pans at them. Get the zooms.
There is an ice cream truck that visits our neighborhood that does have that little dispenser.
Really?
Yeah,
Mine, the one
they
that
put
visits
hot
mine
chocolate
doesn't.
on it and everything.
I haven't
That's
seen
cool.
an ice cream truck in years.
You're kidding me?
No,
do
I-
a lot of
I
kids
hate
live in your
them.
neighborhood though?
No.
And plus it's gated, so that
Yeah, but you would think like you'd see maybe like Alpharetta has like a city ordinance or something.
no, because we used to have the ice cream truck at our apartment complex down the street.
I don't know.
But
I know
yeah.
if my kid came out and said so, I would just say no. You
Whenever I hear the ice cream truck, I go running.
Oh, because you know who has ice cream, right? Publix.
But not in the shape of Spider-Man, Jason.
I know.
With
I
a
always
10x
get the
price.
Spider-Man ice cream.
exactly.
With a 10x price, I know that's me thinking, but But remember, as a child, did you enjoy getting ice cream from an ice cream truck?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
I
I
still
did
do.
I lived
I
in the
do,
country. If you saw an ice cream truck, it was probably a child molester.
Yeah, well, I'm actually friends with the guy who drives the truck in our neighborhood. He's this Haitian gentleman, and I actually walked to the end of my street to go see him one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, how come you don't come down our street? There are a bunch of kids here. And he goes, oh, well, now that I know what street you're on, I'll make sure to make a point to drive down there. And so he, like, last time I was there, he was just like, oh, thanks for coming out. You're my friend now. So
Sorry,
she just got iced with tempera paint.
the effect too, because it literally looks absolutely not at all like she got shot. It looks like he fired a pellet full of red
Tempera
paint
paint.
at her.
Exactly.
Which I guess they didn't want to be too gory or anything.
Right.
And there's no gore in the movie.
No.
No.
Oh, look, my daughter fell down.
Yeah.
And so did the ice cream man.
Nobody gets shot in this movie. They just fall down dramatically.
Yeah, and then he puts his
He puts a jacket over, which
And
is
then
nice.
just abandons her body in the middle of the street to go.
because revenge.
Yeah, revenge porn for sure.
Because revenge. Hey, I
Would you take the body with you?
no.
Okay. Don't want a minute to go by and you may lose the bad guys.
God forbid, if I thought I could kill the son of a bitch, I'd leave and I'd kill the son of a bitch.
Because I mean, what is she going to get more dead? Like,
I mean,
but he might come back and she's gone.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
that's
Tony
just-
Danza, the ice
that
cream
would be
man.
that would be significantly worse.
Yeah. It's like, oh, someone stole her body. And
Mr.
there's-
Epstein, no.
I didn't know Epstein was in the studio with us.
Well,
God help us.
Yeah,
That was a taste of street thunder, wasn't it?
Street Thunder.
Say Street Thunder on the. Perfect.
Because it sounds like,
This Sunday at the Metrodome. Street Thunder.
You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only use the edge.
Oh, man.
yes.
For the win. Thank you.
That's enough of you.
They love me. They really
we pay
love
for the
me.
soundboard. We're going to use the soundboard.
So yeah, that's the whole. This is the whole impetus behind the assault on Precinct Not 13.
Yeah.
So now,
And nightfall comes.
oh, and the address on the sign outside of the precinct. That's John Carpenter's first address when he first lived in LA.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Wow.
So
So he docked someone, but we don't know who.
yeah, someone. Well, you don't know the street.
Oh,
Just
fair
the
enough.
number. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So the because we're coming up on our break, but really I think this establishes the first half because the sun
Right.
is now setting.
Act 1.
The bus with the convicts are arriving at the police station.
They have a very ill convict, so they have to
Yes.
drop him at the local precinct to get help.
And the guy whose daughter has been killed avenges his daughter, kills David Bowie. I mean, he does.
Shoots him hard.
And it looks at first like he didn't. Like the dude isn't, he just is
He
standing
just
there and then
stands there. He gets shot like 7 times. And he
Yeah.
just sits there just with a frozen expression on his
Yeah.
face, and he's still brandishing his own gun, and then he just wilts against the car.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Paul Rubens death scene in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Do you remember that?
Oh wow!
Soon.
Yeah. Time. just
Damn,
timing,
dog.
man. Damn. Anyway, so
Ready for a break?
the action will begin in the next half of the show. So we will be back in about 1 second. And we're back.
Hello.
Hey.
And it is time for shooting and action.
Yes. And
Well, first, we have to note that Coca-Cola paid for some advertisement.
Did they?
They've got a drink Coca-Cola icebox that they specifically move within the frame, like to block the door.
Do you think that Coke paid for it?
I think
I wonder.
sometimes in the 70s, people just did that. And,
I mean,
and they hoped that Coke didn't sue them.
It didn't sue
They
them.
paid for the Coke truck when Superman got thrown into it.
Well, that was Superman, though.
Yeah.
This is John Carpenter's second movie.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, his first movie was Dark Star, which is not, it's a good movie. It's weird.
Well, he's actually been quoted as saying that Assault on Precinct 13 is his favorite movie, like the most fun movie that he ever shot. So,
Yeah, I can see it.
so I don't know if Coke paid for it, but it was just such obvious
Very
product
overt.
placement.
Yeah.
and spawned a story that we told during the break, which
Oh, yeah.
Jason may want to bring up.
Yeah,
Do tell.
yeah. Well, I was just saying, my dad back in the '60s, he owned a gas station, and he had a Coke machine exactly like the Coke machine that is featuring in the movie. You know, it was the kind with the crank.
Sorry, Wilson's putting his moves on the girl.
You would put the coin in, and you would turn the crank, and there was a wheel that would turn, and you'd open the door and pull your Coke out. And my dad kept it when he sold the gas station, and it. At least when I was a teenager, it still worked.
Oh, wow.
And fun fact, if you get little bottles of Corona, they fit exactly in the same slot. And the machine functions perfectly. So you can have all your friends over, load it up with Corona, and keep a little, like a box of nickels. And when somebody wants a beer, you just put that in there, turn the thing, boom, get a beer out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
But we just scooted past it, but we just see Wilson start to take a shine to Miss Lee, who got shot and got grazed in the arm, I guess, during the firefight where the gang of hoods and toughs were shooting at the scenery for 5 straight minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we have when the father gets his revenge, he runs to the police station
and immediately goes catatonic.
He goes completely catatonic. Well, he's had a bad day.
But he's like the daughter from Death Wish. He just something horrible happens to him, and he just turns into Beaker.
Yeah, I know. It's like, okay, Lassie. And this presumably is the inciting incident where the criminals now, the gang, has decided that they are going to get into the police station and kill him and presumably everybody else.
Yeah.
And from that point on, it's the Alamo.
Right. Yes, it's definitely the Alamo.
Which I think was like the original title, like Anderson's Alamo or something.
Oh, okay.
Was the original title of the movie. So that is the movie. That's what everybody thinks of. And it's about the last 45 minutes of the movie. And it's fascinating because I didn't originally think that the criminals were going to join with the cops. Or with the cops and the secretary or whatever.
Right.
And it really is a very good relationship that they all sort of form. And by the end of the movie, you do recognize that this guy Napoleon is a murderer, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the cops keep sort of interviewing him, as it were, because they're fascinated with either why
Bishop doesn't ask him the question he thinks he's going to ask him.
Yeah, he asks. So that they set that up, and there's some sweet payoff to it later because he's like, "Oh, you're just like every other cop. You want to know why I killed those guys or how I got to be where I am, whatever." And because he has a pretty poignant quote actually when he's on the bus. And fun fact about that scene, they weren't being pulled on a truck with the bus. It was actually driving. And so they couldn't hear themselves talking because the engine was right below their seats.
Low budget.
But Wilson says, days are like women. Each one is so goddamn precious. They always end up leaving you. And so naturally,
he's got a couple like that.
Naturally, Wilson's focus is on the one remaining woman after the firefight when they're at Precinct 13. And he's like protecting her and, helping her bind her wounds and stuff. But throughout the movie, he keeps trying to bum a smoke off of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a running gag that happens throughout.
It's a perpetual nicotine fit with this fellow.
And,
but she's got one.
She does.
That's super sexy.
Yeah.
Women who smoke.
When she gives him the...
No, she puts the cigarette in his mouth and then with one hand, lights the match.
Which,
So sensual.
that's a neat trick, but it's like, did she constantly walk around? Because you can do that. You have to fold the match around to do it. It's tough to do with one hand.
Well, she'd been
Back
waiting.
when I smoked, I could do that.
She'd been waiting the whole time she met him to deliver that smoke because I think she really liked him and he liked her.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because Bishop, the first sign of humanity you see between him and the prisoners is when Wilson does ask for a cigarette. And all the other policemen are like, oh, shut up, man. I'm not getting you a cigarette. And just shooting him down. But Bishop's the only one who's like, nah, I don't smoke. Sorry. And he goes, well, if you see one lying around. And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep my eye out.
And he's just always treated him with a certain level of respect. Now, I have a question about this scene. So Lee is able to detect whether or not a gun is loaded by sticking her finger in the barrel of a gun.
I didn't.
No, but look, if you look at a wheel gun, you can actually see the bullet.
Is it a wheel gun? I thought it had a.
It's a revolver.
Oh, okay. I thought it had a box cartridge for some reason.
But the thing is, I mean,
which you can't silence a revolver, by the way.
No, you can't silence a revolver.
Well, but the reason why he didn't know he wasn't shooting. He doesn't realize that he's not shooting because of the silencer. I'm like, you can't feel whether or not you're firing that gun. That was ridiculous. A little plot hole there. Just a gaping plot hole. Are you serious?
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if, like, in the heat of with enough adrenaline, if there's gunfire going. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you would notice.
You would still feel the kick of it.
You're not shooting.
Click, 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 click.
Yeah.
And clearly, these guys are criminals. They've done something.
Yeah.
Hey, why are you just assuming he's a murderer? That's profiling, Mr. Brown.
I said criminal. I said criminal. Well, he's a criminal.
But you were going in the direction that he has to have fired a gun, being a criminal.
Well, we know that that the bad guys can hotwire a car.
Yes.
Oh, here it is. Yeah,
he can hotwire a car and
wait for it.
Oh my God!
And you got a light.
You're damn right, I got a light.
We're just gonna sit here and watch this unfold.
She reminds me a bit of who was the actress? She was in They Live.
I know exactly. She's got bright blue eyes.
Yeah, Meg.
I'll find it. Hang on.
Meg Foster.
Meg Foster.
Oh wow! Good for you guys.
She reminds me a bit of Meg Foster,
who was quite nice because my friend Ed Hyland was in a film with her. They worked together.
He knows somebody who was in everything that's ever happened.
Backlash Oblivion or Backlash Oblivion Part 2?
No, it was 5 Days in August.
Oh,
and yeah, it didn't go too far, but there was a lot of great stars in it, and it was my friend's Ed's opportunity to have a lead role on the big screen, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
But he said that she was super cool, smoked like a chimney, had a real deep voice like that.
I could see
and then right after shooting, just went off. Didn't really socialize with anyone. She's kind of
not everyone is blessed with a naturally deep voice.
I need a little smoke help.
Except our satanic soundboard.
Have to augment.
Yeah, so here are the clueless cops, and like so much is happening around them. And of course, there's the one line they have where they're scouring, their block basically because they're hearing reports of gunfire or firecrackers, not sure which. And the guy's one of the cops who's not driving is like, aren't you going to go down this street? And he goes, nah, nothing ever happens down that street. And of course, that's where everything is happening.
Okay, so here's a problem that I have. There's two problems I have with the movie, plot hole wise. First of all, there is an escape hatch. They establish that there is an escape hatch in the basement that goes to the sewer, which goes to a manhole. And I recognize that at the end of the movie, they show a bad guy coming in that way.
Yes.
Which may get rid of the plot hole. But I'm thinking, my ass would have been hiding in that sewer. And once I was in the sewer... I would have been
in the basement to begin with.
Yeah.
Why engage in a firefight if you don't have to?
Yeah, and also, I don't know of any sewer that's just like manhole, like it's just a pipe going to the building. Like you would think if you could get to the sewer, just leave.
Yeah.
Via the sewer.
Yeah. But the plan is for one of the, captives to basically go out the manhole, hotwire a car, and, go for help. And the problem with that is that I'm forgetting the character's name, but
Wade?
Wilson.
No. Wilson's the...
Walsh. No, I'm making it up.
Oh my God.
Wells. It's Wells.
There you go.
Okay.
I knew we get there eventually.
I knew it was
Sure,
two W's. Two W's.
Wade Wilson.
But But Wells makes his way out, and that's fantastic. He's really stealthy, like doesn't even make a ton of noise with the grate, and that's good. He gets to the car, jimmies the car open, hot wires the car, but for some reason doesn't think to check that the car is actually empty before he starts to drive away.
Well, that's that's a John Carpenter ism, because remember when the girl gets in the car and she's like, why is there humidity on the inside of the window?
No.
Knife comes through the seat.
Oh, that's why.
Now my back's all bendy windy.
Well, I love the fact that he's saying, well, who's going to go? It has to be one of the criminals.
Of course. I'm a police
well, we'll
officer.
flip a coin.
I don't know.
Which, I'm sorry, but Bishop is giving me some strong Tropic Thunder Robert Downey Jr. vibes.
Really?
Don't they look kind of similar, like when they put Robert Downey Jr. in blackface in that movie?
I am going to let you have this one.
No,
I'm going to move.
It was reminiscent aesthetically.
Okay, yeah.
Reminiscent aesthetic.
Ow. Ouch.
Whatever.
No, what was I saying?
So they decided it has to be one of the criminals who tries to escape.
I love the fact that it's like, well, we'll do a coin toss. He says, well, I've never had good luck. If it's a coin toss, if it's 50-50, I'm going to lose. What do you want to do? Let's do potatoes.
One potato, 2 potatoes, 3 potatoes, 4.
And they do potatoes.
And that's the same. Like, there's still a 50-50 shot. It's just like, and my mother said that
different 50-50.
But it depends on who you start pointing at first, because it's going to be the other person.
It's like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Catch a tiger by his toe if you hollers let him go. But it's
But the problem is I can never remember which one to start with, so I would lose. They should have Rochambeau'd for it. That would have been the manly thing to do. The other,
if you don't want it to be you start on you.
Okay.
Depending on which version you do, because
I'm not going to remember this in the moment.
It depends. No, but it depends on which one you do, because some people add the "and my mother said that you are," and that changes the game.
Cheating, yeah.
So it depends.
Quick question: They're there by the glow of the furnace.
Yes.
In summertime, would the furnace be lit?
Especially when everything's being shut down, you'd think
the furnace would be the first thing.
Turn the furnace off. I mean, they don't need hot water.
I don't know. The dad was wearing a jacket when his daughter got shot.
It's the 70s.
Even if it's 90 degrees outside.
Yeah, you had to wear your nice
and you had to
jacket,
moonwalk.
Yeah.
Jacket, moonwalk.
No, but the other sort of plot hole sort of thing, and I remember I hadn't thought this before, but when I was watching it, he says, well, we have this acetylene, and we have these flares, and I'll shoot the flares, and that'll blow up the acetylene, which, first of all, no, it wouldn't.
It's very deep blue sea.
It's Jaws and everything else. You know? I mean, but also, if I had flares, I'd probably be shooting flares off. Maybe trying to get some attention drawn.
Don't you remember the beginning? Flares, but no flare gun. That's what Lee said.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. We got flares.
I didn't catch that.
But no flare gun.
I didn't notice that either. And plus, this is like the most organized zombie gang I've ever seen in my life, because they shoot all of these people, their bodies littering the street, and Bishop's obvious logic to that is, somebody's going to notice all of this carnage in the road. But the gang goes out and just like moves the bodies and puts them in a ditch or something somewhere, moves nearby.
The cars.
Moves the cars so that they're not looking abandoned, and then just parks across the street from the precinct, making it look perfectly normal outside.
Yeah.
They were probably all Vietnam veterans.
Well, I think
most of them were USC students.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that they were actually all cricket players. because you'll notice that at a certain point they just, it's time for tea, and they all retire for tea. And giving the good guys
that's why the furnace is on
time. Oh, for the tea.
Because they needed their tea break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, there you go. I figured it out.
But it's so they give them this long pause before making the final rush at the end, and they give the good guys ample time to sort of figure out what to do. It's a movie. I get it.
Yeah.
And now here we have the
poor Wells.
Wells' stealthiness. I mean, how could you not notice that there was somebody in the backseat of that car?
I don't know. You'd think that, he's
particularly
staying below.
When the door was locked.
He's staying below the, I don't know.
Well done to the gang members for having the initiative to pre-position a guy in that car, just in case.
Just in case somebody tried to steal it.
I mean, that's thinking ahead. That's why they're Street Thunder.
That's why they don't.
Yeah.
The horde of gang members doesn't rush Wells because they know that they've got an ace in the hole. They got somebody in the back of the car.
Okay.
They're just walking slowly toward him, but they know that they'll take out one more person if they let him think that he's gotten away.
They clearly have ample resources.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their HR department is organized as hell.
Very much so.
See, and you could tell that it's a 70s movie, not an 80s movie, because if it was an 80s movie, at some point the gang would have had like an RPG.
Well, and plus the music is so 70s it hurts.
Let's talk about the music, okay? Because it's John Carpenter, so he composed the music. And even though I knew that, and even though I knew what the music sounded like, when the movie came on when I was watching it for the show, it's the Lalo Schifrin and it's Dirty Harry.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
He wrote the
straight
score
up.
in 3 days, evidently, and I've gotten all of this from IMDb, in case I didn't mention that. But he made 3 to 5 separate pieces of music and edited them accordingly. It didn't become available to buy until 2003, through French label record makers, but it was definitely based on Dirty Harry and what was the other song? Yeah, Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song.
I don't really hear that so much as the Lalo Schifrin Dirty Harry stuff is very, which, I really like Lalo Schifrin's music, and I think Dirty Harry's probably the best thing he ever did.
Well, we wind up in the sewer because we get all the shit jobs.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And, see, Dirty Harry was 74.
I'm thinking 74. 73 or 4.
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
Your favorite movie ever, and you don't know what year it came out?
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember watching it when it came out. I just didn't note the date.
And
40 years from now, I'm going to bug Jade Rogers with this particular movie.
Yes.
Had no idea. So they eventually come up with their plan, which is to go to the basement, and they're going to let the bad guys get into the basement. They're going to use a sign to stop
a bulletproof sign.
A bulletproof sign. It's made of like tungsten or something.
Says, what does it say? It was hilarious.
Support your local
police.
Yeah. And then they're going to blow up the acetylene tank, and that will kill the bad guys.
So basically, it's Jaws with people.
Yeah. I mean, am I getting the plan?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
I noticed, I may be wrong about this, but didn't they make a point to say that Bishop only has 3 shots left?
3 shots. That's it.
I thought he took 4. Because he shoots.
I counted
so the
them.
gang, okay, I thought that they flooded down the stairs and he shot at them once, and then there were 1, 2 shots he missed hitting the tank, and then the 3rd shot obviously is the one that hits. So
well, it doesn't matter because they have magic guns anyway.
That's true with magical silencers.
Because that I didn't know that the Remington 1867 shotgun, which incidentally was so deadly that the Germans tried to get it banned as an illegal weapon.
Oh my God!
Because it was so good as a trench gun.
Oh wow!
That they wanted it to be banned, like mustard gas and stuff.
Oh my God!
But if you notice, whenever Napoleon shoots it, he shoots consistently. He does it like 3 or 4 times in the movie. He shoots twice, then racks it, and then shoots again. So I guess it's like a double-barreled pump action shotgun.
I guess so.
But again, it's based on Rio Bravo, and John Wayne had, those revolvers that held 99 bullets in it. So it's a Western. It's forgivable. I'll allow it. But the bad guys do eventually make it into the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not seeing what the plan is past blow it up.
I mean,
so they're going to blow it up. I got that.
Without the guarantee that they've gotten all the gang members.
Well, because they have no idea how many
there are. Yeah, exactly.
There's no main boss, So I guess it's a desperation play. Like
take out as many as you can
before you go.
Because they even brought that up. It's like, okay, what are we going to do? We got like 5 rounds. Well, we'll take out as many as we can before it's over.
Yeah.
And then the acetylene enabled them to use napalm.
Yeah.
and then, of course, the burning question that Bishop has for Wilson comes up, which is
pun intended. It burns.
Actually, that you know, if
I hate
you
you.
get blown up by an acetylene tank, it's going to be shrapnel damage, not burn damage, really.
Yeah, Adam, get it
so-
together.
Oh.
No, I was just thinking the movie, you know, because
Yeah.
they're all like burned up and everything, but really they have
they're all
giant
charred to a
pieces of the tank, you know, through them, which would be a nasty way to go.
Is that Ben Stiller?
Yes. We'll let the audience decide.
He's doing Blue Steel.
So
We'll have to find
Very
the bad
funny.
guys.
So at this point of the movie, the police officers who have been aimlessly patrolling
Yeah,
for
they're
like
idiots.
6 hours, you know,
Their
they've
tip off is what, gentlemen?
well, it's raining.
It's raining. It's
Wait a
raining
minute.
men.
No,
That's
it's
not-
not.
Hallelujah.
That's not rain.
It's raining a man's bodily fluid because they shot the
Can
poor
you
lineman.
specify the bodily fluid?
It's
for the-
red.
Blood. So the poor lineman for the county, he got
Motorola.
shot. Yeah.
The Motorola paid
And
for that.
his blood is dripping on the hood of their car. And the guy driving the police car is like, oh, great. Now on top of everything, it's starting to rain. And
Could
then they
this
get
day
out.
get any worse?
And then he gets out and sees a dead body hanging from the power line. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that's
Oh,
unfortunate.
Well, yeah, because that's the whole thing that is mentioned a few times on the radio calls, that there's a telephone repair truck that's missing,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
and if you blink, you miss it.
yeah, it's just one mention, I think.
Is it just one?
I think so because they're
Okay.
on the radio and because the police keep calling for not only helicopter backup, but like extra units to come and assist
yeah,
them.
he wants the
And,
helicopter. Yeah,
They don't even mention the power truck. It's the guy at the station who's like, actually, and now we're dealing with the fact that this power truck has gone missing. So, and yeah, like you said, you blink and you miss it.
yeah.
But it's just one quick mention, and then you see the dead lineman up on the power line.
I was expecting the bad guys to open fire.
That's
at that
what I
moment.
was expecting. Yeah,
Because that leads to the question of like, how did they cut the power in that case? Did they shoot the lineman to keep him from turning the power back on after they cut it?
That's what I think,
Okay, because
but I
yeah.
don't know.
They climbed the pole. They cut some wires.
Yeah, and then the
They
guy
cut
came
some
out to fix
wires.
it. You know, and it's really interesting how the whole situation, as soon as it's known that it's occurring, everything's okay. You know,
yeah,
it's-
once backup
Yeah,
shows
it's-
up and the cavalry's here,
Yeah,
oh, it's over. Sorry,
once,
guys, you
once
missed
they
it.
make one radio call, that's it. You know, and I found myself wondering, like,
Support your local police.
The big sign,
there it is.
yes.
Awesome.
well, and
And you know what I love? I love what they did. They put it on a little kind of four-wheeled cart.
yeah,
And then the second that they got it locked in, you could tell it was on a dolly.
yeah,
Yeah.
They're moving
it's
back.
very much on a dolly.
It's very, very
Had to
stable.
find a way to make
Yeah.
it move so smoothly.
And that is a Western thing, you know.
Yeah.
And it's funny that something like that.
Hiding behind a saloon table or a
Yeah.
bar or
Well,
something. Yeah.
I mean, like even the police station, the doors to the police station swing both ways like a saloon door.
Right.
Oh, I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, I think you only really see it once or twice in the movie, and it's earlier on.
Okay.
But yeah, you do see that they swing open and close like a saloon door. But I found myself wondering, okay, so there's no other way of communicating. I know it's 1976. I know nobody has an iPhone, but there's no radio with a battery or
Oh, yeah.
They mentioned the radio at some point.
like a handheld radio, anything.
I can't remember what was said about the radio. I want to say it got knocked out. I think it was destroyed during the firefight, the original firefight with the Tufts and the
okay,
Hoods.
okay.
So I think it got blasted to smithereens or something like that. But they did mention the radio, like, and they couldn't use it. So yeah, okay, he just shot.
No, that was
that
Bishop
was-
that shot, and of course he let them take away the shotgun.
Okay, so that was Wilson's gun that got taken, and
Yeah.
Bishop still has the 3 shots. Okay, I knew I heard
Napoleon's.
4
and they've gone to
shots
hand-to-hand combat. There's no guns. It's just they're hitting with sticks
and crowbars and,
and
stuff.
knives. And
Yeah, I don't know how they're killing all these guys with. I mean,
well, he broke a chair leg off, and he hit
He's
him with a
like-
chair
yeah.
leg.
They're vampires, so he's staking them. You know, maybe.
and then there's smoke, so he can't get a clear shot.
Where's the smoke coming from?
The whole upstairs
The
is on
furnace.
fire from the Molotov
the
cocktails.
Molotov cocktails?
Oh,
Molotov
okay.
cocktails. Yeah.
I missed so much watching this movie.
Meg Foster just kills the crap out of dudes,
Oh,
and she is ice cold about
Meg
it.
Foster.
I love
That's
her.
not Meg Foster.
Well, that's who we
That's
think
who it
she
is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but So it's
Third round.
It's so chaotic. It's like the Muppets take over the Precinct 13. It's so
And then
chaotic.
there's smoke everywhere.
Yep.
And then the police arrive, and of course, there's ample gang members to annihilate all the police officers.
Yeah.
Now the police are here. It's like the end of Blazing Saddles. The cops show up and just take everybody away. Oh my God.
And the ending, one thing I like about it is that the story is about what happens at the precinct. The story is not about Napoleon going to jail. It's not about him and Meg Foster becoming, lovers or whatever. It's not about, so there's none of that gets resolved.
Yeah, there's romantic tension, there's criminal activity, there's murder, but it's not about any of those things.
So it's fine that it doesn't get resolved because that's not the story.
The story is them surviving the night together.
Exactly, yeah.
Despite the unlikely odds.
Multicultural, very diverse backgrounds, some law enforcement, some lawbreakers, and they all trust one another.
Yeah.
They form a bond.
We're not so different, you and I.
Yeah, that's right.
And I love, the whole line when Bishop tells the cop to let Napoleon go. And he's like, I'd consider it a privilege to walk out with you.
I like that.
Yeah, because he knows he's still going to go back into custody, but they're not going to, let him get treated roughly by the other policemen.
Right, yeah.
But I do love a line that happened earlier because it's funny. The catatonic dad survives all of this despite being utterly fucking useless. Yeah. And
that's
at one
the kind
point,
of acting job I want.
One of the guys,
I would want that role. How many lines do I have to learn? After this scene, none.
Nothing.
Just you're in the entire movie though.
Thank you.
We got a stretcher for you too, lady.
I don't have to act with the kid or have any lines after this scene. I'm in. That's a great paycheck. But at one point, one of the guys in the station is like, wait a minute. All of this trouble was for one guy? Why don't we just shove him outside? And I was just like, Jesus, that is heartless.
But I don't think it would have worked, though. They would have kept coming in.
Oh, this great moment. So Lee walks away. Like, she and Napoleon have been having this romantic tension the entire time that he's been at the station. And they just sort of, give each other a long, steady look. And then she turns around and walks away from him, all dramatic. And it's just like, okay.
Always leave him wanting more. That's what
I'm going to be
give
in
a
the
man
basement.
a cigarette and then walk the hell away.
I'm going to be in the basement doing what?
What do you think?
And that's the movie. Yeah, I mean that's Assault on Warehouse 13.
You would think that he, Napoleon would have asked, "Could you all go and just leave here with me?
5 minutes.
Just quick conjugal, 35 seconds.
Yeah,
really is all I need.
Really not much.
I might not even make it in."
Just
I've been in jail a long time.
We can just do hand-to-mouth stuff.
I hate so much about the things that y'all choose to be.
I will go first on the Alf to Seinfeld,
Do it.
which for me is about a 9.
Oh,
wow.
High praise.
Because, it's like, oh yeah, it's a good movie. I've seen it. I like it. Watched it today. And again, I think it's the first time I've sat and watched it and really, paying a close attention to it.
Which happens on a regular basis on this silly podcast of ours.
And I just friggin' loved it. I mean, I found myself just thinking like, God, the acting, it's not like, nowadays if you want, acting of like super high caliber, you need, Daniel Day-Lewis and some epic
or Leo
film
DiCaprio
about
or
whatever.
Getting eaten by a bear.
This is a low budget Western dressed up as a cop movie. And the acting is absolutely fucking fantastic. Every single performance is perfect. The scenes are long, but they don't feel long because the direction is so good, the editing's so good, the pacing's so good. You feel for the people. You actually care about everyone. There's no one in the movie that's disposable that I think, to hell with them. I'm gonna go with a 9.
Awesome. Well, I unfortunately, have to go with a straight 5 because I had never seen this movie before. I had seen the remake that they did with Ethan Hawke, I want to say in the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
He's not.
You're the one who saw it.
Yeah,
I
I'm
never
the one.
saw it.
Well, it reminds me of that comment they made about Skeet Ulrich on Family Guy, where it's like, "There's nothing good about who you are or what you do." Poor Ethan Hawke. But that remake was. I don't remember really much of anything about
awful.
it. I don't know. I don't even remember it being bad. It was just sort of A palate cleanser.
It was just a dumb action movie.
Yeah, that's what I vaguely remember, but I saw it like 15 years ago, so I don't know.
It was a paycheck for John Carpenter. He didn't have to do anything, and he got paid.
There you go.
I mean,
So straight 5 for me because I had never seen the original until Mr. Brown had me watch it for this show.
All right.
And I'm going to have to say 5 for me because I loved this film as a kid.
And you love it
I was from Central PA. We all had guns. We loved guns, and silencers were very cool.
Oh, silencers were always cool.
And just the scene where the you couldn't hear the bullets. It was like tick, 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 and just bullets were flying everywhere.
Paper flying all over the room.
That scene was so cool.
And you're just thinking about you're surrounded.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to defend this, this Alamo.
Yeah.
And that's a tense moment in any situation. You think of Bastogne in World War II, they're surrounded by the Germans, right? And just doing the best they can to defend themselves. It was very similar here. So I watched this movie probably 10 or 12 times because it was on it was on HBO. So every time it came on.
Oh, I didn't know that because I had to watch it on Roku and the ads made it like twice as long.
No, HBO in 1977.
Okay. Got it.
Home box office.
Got it. I misunderstood. Sorry.
Where we would get this little pamphlet in the mail every 6 months, and you'd have to open it and you'd find it and you would highlight it, and then you'd wait by the TV until it came on. Can you imagine that, everyone?
But HBO, there were no commercials.
No.
And that
there
was
still
like,
aren't.
oh my, well, yeah, I know, but what I mean is like at the time.
That was mind-blowing,
Oh my God, there's no commercials. But then
sometimes,
how do I pee?
Well, and sometimes a movie would play sequentially like 5 times.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
true.
like, it would close, and then suddenly Assault on Precinct 13 again.
No wonder he knows the music so well.
And the theme song is not only intoxicating but just very memorable. It's got gravitas.
Yeah,
Gravitas.
And when they said an exciting movie from the 70s, this one popped into my head. Now my fear was when we watched it was like, oh my God, I love this as a kid and it's terrible. But as I was watching it, it just brought back memories.
Yeah.
As I said, the slow burn at the beginning, the character development, and then the grand finale at the end. With some plot holes, but nevertheless,
totally
very
forgivable.
Exciting, very tense, on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. Everything, any flaw in the movie is forgivable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is just that good of a movie.
So listeners, please go and watch Assault on Precinct 13, 1976.
Yeah,
not the
remake.
new one. Yeah, do it. Just do it.
Hey, Ethan Hawke had a couple of successful cop movies there for a minute.
Yeah, but that sure as shit wasn't one of them.
Maybe Training Day.
All right. Well, I guess that's really about it. Darth, if you want to take us home.
Yeah, Hindsighters, thank you for joining us for another installment of the Summer of 70s, brought to you by Mr. Brown. Now, Jason and I will be making some selections because Adam's got to go, do some traveling or something in the near future.
Work.
So now it's left up to Jason and me to select our next 70s film.
We shall.
So we appreciate you joining us for your drive time, your listening time, your Cholo blood ritual time. We don't care what kind of time. This has been Darth, Adam, and Jason on Hindsight, and good night.